and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be another slang video. These seem to be very popular, so why not do another one? And this one is a specific slang video. It is slang of the South. And when we talk about the South, we're talking about the southern United States, states like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee. We also have the North, we have the Midwest, we have the West. But those other areas don't really have any slang of their own. But there are some terms, some phrases, some words that are unique to the South. And I thought, who better to bring in for this video than my wife, who spent the first 20 years of her life in the South.
So the first term we're going to talk about is the word y'all. When you're talking to a group of people down south, you would say, hey y'all, hello y'all. You could also use it in a question. What are y'all doing for dinner tonight? Are y'all going to the football game tomorrow? Where do y'all go to church? That's how you use the word y'all, referring to a group of people. It could actually be two people. We use y'all a lot.
And I have mentioned before how English doesn't really have the you plural nailed. So oftentimes different regions of the United States will come up with their own. Like in the North, we might say, you guys, how are you guys doing? And guys, it doesn't mean just men or males. It can stand for women, kids, how are you guys doing? In some parts of the mid-Atlantic, New York, New Jersey, you might hear use guys. Use guys. That's a bit extreme, but you might hear that.
The next Southern slang we're going to talk about is a question. When you're speaking to someone that you see in the grocery store, you may see them at church, you may see them at a football game, you always say, how's your mama and them? You always ask about the mom first because she's the queen, she's the head of the household. And them, when you say, how's your mama and them, is referring to the husband, the children, your sister, your grandparents, your brother, your sister. So a big way to talk about your family or to ask how a family's doing is you would say, how's your mama and them? Now, Southerns are known for when they see each other at the grocery store, they talk for long periods of time. Because when you're asking, how's your mama and them? You start going through everybody, so the conversation lasts a long time. We're also known for when we're leaving somebody's house, when we're saying goodbye, it takes a very long time. We follow each other to the car. We talk in the car. We'll pull out the driveway onto the street, wave again and say goodbye, ask more questions. So, how's your mom and them? Takes a long time to answer.
And since Jamie is the expert of the South, I am just going to sit here and awkwardly stare at the camera, if that's fine with everybody.
So when you're really hungry or you're looking to eat some really good food in the South, people will say, I need to put a little South in my mouth. That's referring to all of the good foods that the South is known for. Now, we don't eat the best in the South. A lot of foods are fried chicken, fried okra, which is a vegetable that we fry, fried steak. We do a lot of creamy gravies, a lot of sweet tea that has a lot of sugar. We just butter. We eat a lot of butter. We put butter on everything. We smother it in butter. So when you're really hungry, you just say, I need to put a little South in my mouth. Another thing I want to talk about right here is the term Coke. Now, Coke is a brand of soda, but down south, we call all sodas Coke. What kind of Coke do you want? I'll have a Sprite. What kind of Coke do you want? I'll have a Dr. Pepper. We refer to all sodas as Coke, and I'm not really sure how that started other than there was a huge Coke plant in Atlanta, Georgia, and the owner of Coke lived there.
And as I said before, the West, the Midwest, and the North, we don't have a lot of slang of our own, but in this case, we kind of do. In the North where we live now, we call it soda. That's all soda. But if you go to the West, they'll also call it soda. But in between is the Midwest, and you might hear it called pop there in places like Minnesota or Ohio.
Now in the South, when someone is really, really angry, upset, we say, she was madder than a wet hen. Now when a hen gets wet, a hen is angry, it's mad, it squeals. Hens do not like to be wet, and they really show it when they're wet. So if somebody's angry in the South, we say, whoo, she was madder than a wet hen. So a stereotype that we use in the South is the term redneck. A lot of people in the South are called rednecks because there's a lot of farming. They're working on cars, they work outside building a building, and it's really, really hot in the South. So the back of their necks when they're working in the sun get really, really red. So that's where the term redneck has come from. Now, this is again just a stereotype, but rednecks are often thought of as not being very intelligent. They might do some crazy things that are not really good, smart decisions with their guns while they're hunting or while they're drinking some beers. So a stereotype that the South uses a lot is the term redneck.
So a chef from Morocco was wondering about rednecks, and there you have a pretty clear definition of what a redneck is. Now, I'll admit, when I lived in the North, before I moved down there, I might have used the term redneck to talk about somebody from the South. In the South, they often call us Yankees. And when I first moved down there, people were often saying, oh, bless his heart, bless his heart. And I was totally confused about this because when somebody sneezes, we often say, bless you. But I wasn't sneezing and they were still saying, bless his heart, bless his heart.
Well, what Brent didn't know was that it actually means, bless your heart, why are you making that decision? Or, bless his heart, he's not thinking correctly. Or, bless his heart, he's just not very smart. But bless your heart can also mean another thing. When somebody is sick or ill, they will often say, bless his heart, I hope he comes out of that surgery. Or, bless his heart, I hope he gets to come home soon. So it can go both ways. It just depends on what you're talking about. Whether you're talking about someone who's not making good decisions or somebody that's kind of stupid, or whether somebody who's ill or in a tough situation.
And unfortunately, I was never ill, so I think they only meant it the bad way. Bless his heart. So here at Learn American English with this guy, we always try to keep the content extremely kid-friendly. If you're under the age of 13, please just hit the fast forward button a couple times because what Jamie is going to talk about is not exactly adult, but it's kind of close.
Now, I do have a bit of a potty mouth, and I swear like a sailor. But down south, when people are really hot or they're sweating a lot or they're perspiring a lot, we say, wow, I am sweating like a whore in church. Now, if somebody is a whore and they're in church, they probably are really sweaty because they're thinking they're being judged for all those bad decisions in the past weeks, the past months that they've done. So they're probably really sweating because they're nervous. So if you're hot, really hot in the South, and you're sweating a lot, we say, man, I am sweating like a whore in church.
So I was worried that Jamie was actually going to say what a whore is on this channel. She didn't, but you may want to look it up for yourself. Now, if you're in other parts of the United States, you may hear simple answers like yup or nope. And that is just another way to say yes and no. It might be a little lazy. Depending on the tone of the person's voice, it might be a little bit disrespectful, but you can often get away with a simple yup or nope, even to your parents. In the South, they take respect to a whole nother level.
Now, in the South, when I'm speaking to anyone that is older than me, whether they're a year older or whether they're 45 years older, we always answer them by saying, yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. You are taught that from a young age that when anytime you're answering someone or speaking to someone that's older than you, you need to say, yes, ma'am, no, sir, yes, sir. Even when you're asking them a question, Ma'am, can I have a grocery bag, please? You always need to say ma'am. Or sir, I'm here for you to look at my tire. Could you come out and take a look? That's a reference of respect, and showing respect is using yes ma'am and yes sir.
So in the grocery store, when you want to buy a lot of food and you can't carry it all in your arms, you might get what's called a cart. And I'll put what that looks like up top there. My mom, who is a little bit older, she calls it a carriage. But in the South, they have a different name for it.
Now, when I go to the Walmart in the South, I have to grab a buggy. It's the same thing as a cart or a carriage. We just call it a buggy. Now, I also want to reference something that we used in the last video I did with Brent, the last Sling video, was grocery store feet. So we talked about rednecks. Rednecks often also have grocery store feet. That's when you go to the grocery store with no shoes on and you're walking all through the store, and when you come out of that store, your feet are black. That's grocery store feet. And a lot of rednecks sometimes have grocery store feet when they're pushing their buggy.
If you saw our last video, you might have heard the term eye candy. Well, they have a sort of similar term in the South, and that is...
she's as pretty as a peach. Now in the South, they are known for their peaches. Perfect peaches. Beautiful, juicy peaches. In South Carolina and Georgia, particularly, they are known for their peaches. You might have heard the term a Georgia peach. When you say somebody is pretty as a peach, they are beautiful. They are gorgeous. They are perfect. They have a great body. They have great hair. They have a great face, good nails. Everything is perfect. So if you want to give somebody a compliment, or a woman in the South a compliment, you would say, you're as pretty as a peach.
Before we get to the last one, I just want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. If something was unclear, I promise I answer every single comment.
Back home in the South, when we're getting ready to go anywhere or getting ready to do something, we use the phrase, I'm fixing to go to the store. I'm fixing to go to bed. I'm fixing to go take a ride. I'm fixing to go do my hair. Anything that we're about to do, we always use that phrase, I am fixing to. Now I'm really hungry, so I'm fixing to go make myself some dinner. That's another phrase that's really hard to describe. I don't know where it came from, but whatever we're doing in the South, we're fixing to do it.
So in the North, we never say I'm fixing to. That's totally a Southern thing. Up here, we might say I'm going to, I am about to. So fixing to is just much quicker. Thank you guys for joining me. Jamie, thank you for joining me for another video, and I hope to see you next time.